a seat, sip some wisdom, and stay a while. This is the Prosperity Lounge, where growth gets personal. Step inside, we're breaking chains. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Prosperity Lounge. Snow and ice are rolling here in East Tennessee, probably across half the country. And when temperatures drop, wildlife doesn't just disappear. They move closer, sometimes a lot closer. Welcome to the Prosperity Lounge, everyone, where growth gets personal and hope meets freedom. I'm Joey Ruffalo, best-selling author, business growth strategist, and your host here in the lounge, where we talk about money, business, wellness, and protecting what you're building. Before I get started, I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors who make this show possible. Bello Business Solutions, putting their QR code up on the screen if you're watching live on YouTube here. Mention Make Business Make Sense for a free consultation. And of course, LaPera Insurance. Call Joe LaPera at 865-252-0480. Use J LaPera, that's JLAPERA, at farmersagent.com. Use promo code JRRadio, and the first 10 quotes this month get a free gift card. And if there's going to be some ice damage this weekend, you may have to file a claim, so make sure you call Joe as soon as you can. These are partners that help business owners and families build smarter, safer futures, and we thank them for their support. We also have a free trial here from our guys and our friends over at Lagos. Lagos is the, how do I word this? The preeminent, whatever the top is, Bible software, AI Bible software, Bible study software out there in the world. And they're giving our listeners a 60-day free trial of any of their platforms. There's 3 trials, there's 3 levels. Pick the biggest one, get it for 60 days. Give it a shot. Lagos.com. Use the QR code on the screen or check out the show notes below. And also I'll check out our interview with Chris McGarrah from Lagos from a few weeks ago. Wealth of knowledge on leadership and building a business with mission first rather than profit. Amazing stuff. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here in the chat. Happy birthday to my buddy, Truth Between Lines. It's 50 minus 2 today. 50 minus 2. You do the math. This is a financial show. I'm not going to do it for you, so you do it. Thank you guys so much. Of course, if you want to go deeper than the show, join our free Prosperity Lounge community at theprosperitylounge.com. No cost, just real conversations, tools, and support to help you grow. And we also have our new daily podcast, Daily Dose of Prosperity, that's launched. We're in just finished week 2. No, sorry, week 3. Wow. The year's going by so fast. Week 3. You can check it out on any of your podcast networks and on YouTube, on our YouTube channel as well, which is youtube.com/@theprosperitylounge. Now that all that's out of the way, tonight's conversation is something about most homeowners never plan for. And that's animals getting inside your home, unless you bring them in yourself, right? I guess most people plan to have a dog or a cat, maybe a weird ferret or some other animals people have. I'm not really sure. But it's the other ones that you don't really expect to have in there and you don't really want in there, but they come in anyway. What it actually costs and how to handle it before it turns into a major problem. Joining me tonight are Jonathan and Justin Moore, brothers and co-owners of Complete Animal Removal East here in Knoxville. They launched the business in May of 2024, and in a short time, they've been helping homeowners across East Tennessee deal with wildlife issues the right way, safely, humanely, and proactively. Jonathan, Justin, thank you so much for coming inside the lounge. Welcome. Thanks for pulling up the chair.
Yeah, Joey, absolutely. Thank you for having us. Glad to be here and ready to get started.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
All right. So tell me a little bit more about, before we talk about animals and attics and crawl spaces, it's important to understand like who people are that are being trusted to come in the homes. We did pet sitting for a long time, and there's this whole process of like trusting people to enter your home. You're giving them a key. Maybe they're there, maybe they're not there at the same time, but people want to know who you are before they say, come on in. Now, maybe they don't. Maybe they have a problem and they're just like, come on in. But tell me a little bit more about yourself. What were you guys doing before May of 2024 when you started doing complete animal removal east?
Yeah, so we were both actually doing wildlife prior to this. Kind of backtrack a little further than that. I moved out to Knoxville, lived here for a little while, was working at unrelated industry, and ended up finding myself in Nashville, Tennessee, and was looking for a job and was applying into fields that I'd worked in previously, and thought that I wanted to get back into, and I got desperate for a job and ended up finding this brand and this logo, and the guy named Brian Swanson. He's the founder behind this logo, and was founded out in Nashville with him and his wife Jen, and they brought me in for an interview, accepted the position, and to be quite honest, it was supposed to be something just temporary to get back into something else that maybe I thought I wanted to do. And Brian's an awesome person. He takes care of the people out there, and I quickly realized that I could make a career out of doing wildlife. So I worked there for a little while. Justin was still in college, and so he came on a little bit later, but started doing wildlife in 2018.
Brian Swanson.
Yes.
Any relation to Ron?
No relation. I'm sure he does.
Justin.
Yeah,
Ron
so
got this idea. He's like, hey, I'm going to do this, but what do you think?
to kind of backtrack a little bit of how I got into the industry as well. So I was still in college back in Halls, Tennessee, which is a very small town out in West Tennessee, and was getting ready to move with my now fiance, Paige. She was going to college to be a school teacher. She was transferring to MTSU from Dyersburg State, and we decided to move to Middle Tennessee together. Needed a job, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do after college. So kind of same thing as Jonathan, just thought it'd be a stepping stone. Took the job, moved to Middle Tennessee. Absolutely loved working for the company, would never do anything else. Worked there for about 3 years before the opportunity to come up here came along.
Nice. So I have it written down on here, and I'm curious, why animal removal?
Yeah, so the animals are great. I love the animals. That's what we do it for. It's in our name. But it's really the people that we get to meet and get to know a little bit during the project, and the gratification that comes with that. You're going to this house, and this customer probably never dealt with an animal in the attic space before or in the crawl space, and so they actively have something living above their head while they're trying to sleep at night. So they're very happy to see us pull up, and just the gratification that you get from being able to help somebody and solve their problem. And it's kind of a niche thing. Not a lot of people, can say that they can go out and remove an animal from your attic space in a humane fashion, and also prevent it from coming back. So that's for me why I love animals.
So the people you were around when you started working at Brian, and the opportunity came to be out here.
Yeah.
May of 2024. What was the lead up time to that? You opened in May of 2024. What did the planning look like to get that going?
Yeah, so for myself, I was brought in as a wildlife technician.
Okay.
And you're actively boots on the ground. You're removing the animals, you're repairing the damage and things like that. And I from there I went into customer service, where I was direct frontline, talking to our customers, booking new appointments, things like that. To being the field manager for a little while, leading the exclusion teams, and getting all of our trapping taken care of. And from there, it was, more back end stuff as far as the training is concerned. It took about a year to, really get to the point to where Justin and I felt comfortable to be able to come out here and, open up and kind of run it ourselves. And it's been a true learning curve, and we've grown a lot since May of 24. Personally and in numbers as far as the team goes. So all in all, it took about a year to get up and running out here.
I love that. Do you guys both feel that the ramp up time you guys had with the company prior to starting was beneficial when you guys launched yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think anything could really prepare you for what you're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody says starting a business is hard, but you don't really understand it until you're in it.
That's right.
Like you said, it's been a true learning curve. We've both learned a ton, worked countless hours over the last year and a half. But I think a year, it was definitely needed. But yeah, I think we're at a good spot.
Yeah, because a lot of people jump into a business, they see something, they just buy a franchise, they buy a location, they start something because they either like what it's about or they like the product, but don't really know much about the business side of things or getting your hands dirty throughout the entire process.
Yeah, they do, and it's one of those things where combined, Justin and I have over 11 years of experience. But there's still stuff that I see and that Justin sees. The animals stay the same. Every house is built differently.
Yeah.
So we still run across, things where we're like, we've never seen that before. And that's just, your frontline stuff. To any, young entrepreneur is, as long as you're going out and you can master your craft and do good work, but also have great customer service and have word of mouth and referrals and things like that, and then hiring and retaining and great talent. So
I got to ask, brothers working together, was that by design or was that you liked it and you said come along?
Yeah.
How's it been?
Yeah. So it was, Justin and I, we were obviously working together in Nashville, not as partners, but we were working together. And, to be able to open a complete animal removal franchise, you have to be with the business for at least 5 years. The opportunity came along for me, and I wasn't willing to do it if I couldn't bring Justin along. Justin was leading some of the exclusion team out in Nashville, and his repair work was second to none. I'd put his work up against anybody else's in the industry, and that's by far the hardest thing to train someone to do in the line of work that we do. And just I couldn't do it without him, and I to this day I would not do it without him. So
yeah, I definitely second that. Growing up, if you would have, when you told me I was 6, we'd run a business together, I'd probably tell you you're the craziest person in the world. But we've definitely grown close over the years, and it's been flawless. Wouldn't do it with anybody else.
That's awesome. When you guys got started and you're on your own, what surprised you most in those early months?
Figuring out everything that we thought we knew that we didn't know. And we're still learning and things like that, but that was the biggest thing, was figuring out the unknowns, because you didn't know until those things started popping up. And really creating systems, systems and processes to be able to get through the day. Yeah, we're still a small crew out here in the Knoxville area, so
you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Exactly.
Just made that up, I think. Maybe I heard it. I'll take credit for it. We had talked offline a little bit about your ways of connecting with customers. And you guys are primarily on Facebook. Complete
Correct.
Animal Removal East on Facebook. Give it a follow. Ask why, but like the main way of connecting with your customers so far has been Facebook. Have you found it to be beneficial?
Yeah. So with Facebook, Facebook, we it's more educational content. We're a very needs-based business, so a lot of people aren't calling us to come out and just because they're calling us for a reason. They actively have a problem. They need us to solve it. So it's one of those things where if you don't have that problem, you're probably not going to call us. So with Facebook, it's more educational content and brand awareness, pumping out information, things that happen, things happening, things that we're doing. But as far as leads and things like that from Facebook, not a ton, but it's more so just brand awareness.
So no funny TikToks with the dead animal or anything like that.
Not yet.
Coming soon, maybe.
You're gonna be the one doing it.
Maybe so.
Okay. Now, most people were probably tuning in. They want to hear some animal removal stories, but let's start a little bit with animal removal itself. Right? Most people don't wake up thinking, I need animal removal. Sometimes it just happens and it forces them to make a call. They wake up to a little, I'm going to try to do this justice, guys, so be careful. Little like very scratchy noises in the wall. And you know what that means? Somebody's in there checking it out and it's not Mickey. So they give you guys a call. What's the most common call that you guys are getting?
Yeah, so it really depends on the time of year. Different seasons bring different animals. Some of your animals are going to stay pretty consistent throughout the year. To start with January, like we're in right now, January through really early March is a lot of squirrels, a lot of raccoons. They're both getting ready for a spring mating season and baby season. And once we get into late February, mid March, the birds start moving in, and they come in with a force every year. And then once we get closer to summer, we do a lot of bats. Bats are a very, very prevalent animal within the East Tennessee area. That and squirrels is primarily what we deal with during the summertime, coupled with some groundhogs and skunks and stuff. And then once you get into fall, you get back into more of a baby season routine. So people are calling for skunks and raccoons and squirrels, and still got some bat stuff coming in. And then once we get into the wintertime, it's once again a lot of squirrels, a lot of skunks, a lot of raccoons, things like that.
Now I'm gonna drop some trivia knowledge or some knowledge on y'all. I know bat stuff is called guano.
Correct. Very nice.
Ace Ventura taught me that.
Yeah.
I don't know, just start it out there, guys. We have a great weekend coming up of snow and ice here. What animals are the most active during this type? You said winter, but then you have this extreme cold. Probably just goes across the board as animals trying to seek shelter in general.
Yeah, definitely squirrels. Trying to stay warm. They don't have much fur on them. Your raccoons, though, as well. Trying to rip into ductwork. Anything they can find warm. Even possums, skunks, anything they can find warm. Crawl space, attic, but mostly squirrels right now.
Okay. I had a question in the chat about snake removal stories. Since we're on animal removal, you guys got any good snake removal stories?
Yeah, so I'll pass that one off to Justin. He's done a few more snake removals than I have.
Yeah, I've done a couple. Okay. We stay so busy doing, so snake searches are one of those things that you kind of have to be on the ball. Like you have to have availability right now and right then. Because if you see a snake 5 minutes ago, that don't mean you're going to see that snake again. Right. So it's one of those things we do them, but we don't do a ton of them just because we're still busy with squirrel projects, raccoon projects that take, all day. Couple really don't have anything that crazy. A couple rat snakes. I've actually never pulled a venomous snake doing this for 5 years. So
which is not uncommon.
Yeah. Okay. Your venomous snakes, they really don't come to high grounds unless we get a ton of rain. Your venomous snakes mostly stay out in the woods. Ton of black rat snakes. Those are the ones you'll see in the flower beds and crawl spaces, attics and stuff like that.
Yeesh. Now, when you're there doing another animal removal in an attic and you see signs of snakes or something, do you guys then go, hey, you might have a problem with snakes and we have to look for them? Or
we do, yeah. Okay. So a lot of that's actually found during the inspection process. So the way that all of our projects are kind of handled is, first thing customer does is they give us a call and we gather some information, figure out kind of what's going on. From there, we send an inspector out. Our inspector for the Knoxville area, his name's Nate. Big shout out to him. He's a great inspector. And he goes into the attic space, goes into the crawl space, wherever the issue lies. And from there, he's going to identify feces to pinpoint exactly what animals have been in that attic space or inside that crawl space, and then transition to the exterior of the house to figure out how they got inside, which is the most important thing. During that time, he's taking pictures and all that stuff so that he can go back to the homeowner, show them, what he's found while he was up there, whether it was squirrels and snakes, or squirrels and raccoons and snakes. So,
do you guys do bees?
We do not do bees. Okay. No, it's
special kind of
you got
treatment for that. Right?
Most of the time, your pest control guys are going to take care of that.
So, what constitutes a pest versus a animal removal situation?
Yeah, so anything mouse and larger, call us. We can help you for sure. Anything smaller than a mouse, so all of your creepy crawlies, spiders, hornets, wasps, stuff like that. Those are all going to be your pest control companies. But mice and larger, give us a call.
Okay. So speaking of mice or larger, I kind of teased that a little bit earlier with the fingers on the microphone, but what kind of sounds or signs should never be ignored?
So anything, above your head, right on top of the drywall, that's usually a pretty good indicator. All of your animals, raccoons, squirrels, once they make it inside of an attic space, they're going to collect that insulation that you have up there, and they're going to build little nesting areas inside the attic space, which will be right on top of the drywall. Mm-hmm. And, certain times of the day, you'll hear, depending on what kind of animal it is, if you have gray squirrels, a pretty good time to hear those is going to be sometime right at sunrise up until about 10:30 in the morning, and then it'll kind of die off, and then it'll pick back up again in the late afternoon, starting 4:30 up until around dark sometimes. And that's usually pretty consistent. If you're hearing it after dark, chances are you probably don't have a gray squirrel. You may have a raccoon or some flying squirrels. Those being your nocturnal animals, you'll hear those primarily, after midnight.
Okay.
And to add on to that, not only what to listen for, but to look for, because we have so many customers that have bats in the attic, they have no idea. So bats in the attic, look for black oil marks, especially on your gables. Very common area for bats. But a ton of customers, you'd never know you'd have a bat in the attic if you don't watch them flying.
Interesting. I was going to make a Bruce Wayne joke here, but I don't know how to fit it in. Working on it.
Let us know.
Okay. A lot of people decide or think that I'm going to handle this myself. Probably a very good initial thought to have, potentially, but probably not the right one to finally go through with. You guys probably get in there and see some DIY stuff that's been done. What are some of the biggest DIY mistakes that you see in trying to solve that initial removal problem?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So with your DIY approach, you do run a real risk of trapping the animal actually inside your house, whether it's the attic space or the crawl space, and that's never a good thing. At that point, all animals are survivors just like us, and they're not going to choose to just die up there, whether that's chewing an exterior entry to get back out or ripping into the ductwork and causing additional damage. So that's a very common mistake, is actually trapping the animal inside if it's not extracted and removed properly. Another thing is all animals leave behind what's called pheromones. And whenever an animal occupies those spaces from their feces and their urine and oil glands from their paw pads, they're leaving behind pheromones. And those pheromones, even after that squirrel's been removed, the pheromones are still up there. And that's what attracts every other squirrel in the neighborhood to say, hey, this attic space, there's something up there now, or it has been previously. This is a safe place that I can, take up a residence and stay warm, stay dry. And that's what causes repeat animal issues. That's the number one cause for repeat animal issues.
Okay. And by the way, Nate is in the chat. He said, thanks for the shout out.
Absolutely, Nate. Appreciate you watching.
So So trapping alone never solves the problem. You have to trap and then, I guess, repair or clean up after, or do something. People might not clean up with the right material. You're talking about pheromones. I can go up there and be like, "Oh, I trapped it," and then I'm going to use like my dish detergent, or I'm going to use a floor cleaner or something. You're laughing at me, Justin, because you know that's not the right thing to do. But that's just part of it. Like I'm not really solving the problem unless you get the professionals out there to really just give it the once over.
Yeah, so there is a true real process to it. That goes down to getting your what you called me for is getting the animal out. So that's obviously first objection, first priority. But making sure that one, that animal can't get back in, and then two, making sure other animals can't get in either. And then so that's from animal removal to repairing the areas, and making sure everything around the house is nice and tight, and there's no ways for animals to get inside. And then making sure that those pheromones are removed, whether that's just simply doing a pheromone treatment or doing a full, insulation removal, insulation replacement, replacing vapor barrier, stuff like that. So it can become a real process to get your home back to the way that you want it to be.
So removing the animal is step one, but it's not really the solution. But we do have a solution that nobody wants to talk about, and that's dead animal removal. How often do you guys get calls for dead animal removal versus live critter?
It's not as many as you think. I'd say we filled probably one a week. Sometimes it is when a customer, trapped an animal inside and it didn't find a way out. But a lot of times it's, just something in the crawl space. A lot of times it's your skunks in the crawl space. Those can smell for a while. Unfortunately, I had a customer had one die under a concrete pad in the middle of a concrete pad, and there was nothing she could do. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that we do. Sometimes they die on the wall. You got to cut in the drywall. But they're fun. They're fun to do.
They're fun to do. Okay.
That was a little sarcasm.
Okay.
Those are probably our least fun projects we do.
Okay. Yeah, it turns into a difficult conversation with the homeowner because if you can go up there and inspect a full attic space or inspect a full crawl space, and depending on what the dead animal is, if it's a possum or a raccoon, you can chase those that smell pretty easily. But once you get down to your smaller animals like mice and rats and things like that, they love to go inside that ductwork system. They go up and down the walls. So a lot of times they aren't just laying out in plain sight for us to be able to go and retrieve them. So it turns into a much more in-depth search where you're cutting into drywall, you're opening up ductwork, stuff like that. And sometimes it's just not cost effective for the homeowner. It's more beneficial to wait a couple more days, let it dissipate a little bit, than to cost thousands of dollars in damage and ductwork to have that opened up and repaired or drywall. So
mice are the worst, man.
They're bad.
Absolutely.
But you can kind of tell, like once you have them, you can kind of, like you're saying, you can see the insulation. You can see, if you're in attic space, you got papers, you got stuff that's getting torn through. You got collections of waste material. You can kind of figure out where they're at and where they're scurrying around.
Oh yeah,
get there
absolutely.
And go, hey, we got to take care of this.
They tell their own tale.
Yeah. Cold weather's coming. Keep teasing the cold weather, but even in hot weather, we'll do one of each question. Cold weather's coming. Does cold weather increase dead animal calls?
I would say it can. Okay. A lot of your older wildlife, it'll be harder on them the colder the temperatures get. Mm-hmm. So they'll certainly be looking for the attic spaces and the crawl spaces. The ones that can't find those warm places to be, sometimes that does result in an uptick in dead animal calls. But a lot of dead deer calls during the wintertime too. We don't do dead deer, so that's one of the few animals that we don't service. So it certainly can result in an uptick in calls, but the dead animal calls stay pretty consistent, season by season.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say winter versus summer with the cold versus the heat. Do you see the difference in the type of animals that you're removing?
Dead-wise?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I feel like summer we see quite a few dead squirrels. Yeah. In the winter, it's usually skunks or people calling for dead deers. But yeah, it really varies season by season. It's kind of one of those things that's hard to judge.
Now, when you say dead deer, are you talking like roadside or people's yards?
People's yards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because roadside around here, that's good eating.
Yeah.
I've never tried it, but it's good eating. Now, not removing the animals right away when they're dead can pose a significant health risk to people in the home. What are some of those things that people should think about or realize when it comes to their health? I know animal waste material sometimes is not very good to have around.
Yeah,
that's PG for the radio.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it is a very real thing that is a lot of times homeowners don't want to hear those types of things, and it can be viewed as like a scare tactic. But these are real world situations, and 70% of the air you breathe is coming directly from your crawl space. So whenever you have a raccoon or a possum down there that's urinating everywhere and dropping feces everywhere, eventually that's going to grow up bacteria, and it's going to eventually break down and turn to dust particles. And if there's any puncture lines in your ductwork and things like that, it can those little dust particles can end up actually in the main living area of where you live. So yes,
Wow.
there can be health risks associated with animal feces and urine. Bats probably being one of the biggest ones. Being a smaller animal, they drop a lot of guano really quickly. And if you go into an attic space, one day there might be 5 bats. The next day you go out to start the project, there might be 30. Oof. And if you have 30 bats up there all simultaneously dropping guano, it can get pretty deep pretty quick. And it is some of your most dangerous feces. The older it gets, it dries out, creates that exoskeleton. Same thing with your other feces, turns to dust, and once it's circulated and you breathe that into your respiratory system, it can cause damage.
Yeah. Wow. So, what not to do when you smell something? That's what I wrote down. What not to do when you smell something. I got to write that a little bit better next time. But when you smell something, what's something you should not do in your home?
Try and find it without a respirator.
Yeah. Even with a respirator, if it's a possum or a raccoon, it can get pretty bad. So
yeah, because you got to worry about not so much the smell too, but potentially
health
rabies or getting bit.
Yeah. So once that
we're back to live animals, but
yeah, that's more live animal. But don't. Well, if you smell something and it's concerning, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to stop by and inspect the space and see what we can find. And whenever somebody goes out, they'll obviously have everything that they need to, one, stay safe, but also get the removal done as well if we can find something.
Smell something, say something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Question in the chat here asked about armadillos.
That is a great question. So we do tons of armadillos out in Nashville, and they are slowly making their way east. I believe if anybody keeps up with local news, that there's actually been a couple stories run on it recently. And we've had a few calls trickle in from like the Kingston and Harriman area of people seeing some armadillos on their property. So they're actually, in my opinion, moving this way a little faster than I maybe anticipated. You can find them dead on the side of the road in Cookville, Crossville, things like that. But to have those already coming in is a little surprising. They do create a lot of damage. You won't typically find them in a crawl space, but they will love to burrow next to foundation areas and things like that. But we love the armadillos, and they're one of the most fun animals to capture.
I saw a few in Farragut recently, so yes.
Yeah. I was actually driving out in Sevierville a couple months ago, and one came out of the culvert and did a little circle in the road and went back down into the culvert.
Now, in the cartoons, they curl up in a ball and roll away. Is that true in real life?
No. So only defense mechanism that the armadillos here in East Tennessee have is they can jump 3 feet in the air. Okay. Which is why they always end up as roadkill. The only time, a lot of times, people see armadillos is they're on the side of Interstate 40, and it's because they are spooked. They jump up and they hit your car bumper. If they didn't jump, you'd roll right over them, and they would they just keep on crossing the road.
Okay. I don't know when cartoons are not going to fit in there. Picture, and I guess rabbits don't burrow and go to Albuquerque either. It's an old Bugs Bunny. You're too young for that, Justin.
Too young.
Yeah, dating myself, everybody. All right, so if you don't fix how an animal got in, you're not solving the problem. You're scheduling a repeat visit. So we're on to talking about once you get the animals out, we've got some repairs to do to stop them from coming in. What does exclusion, you talk about exclusion and home repair. So what does exclusion mean in simple terms?
That's a great question. Hard to explain in simple terms. Basically what it is, it's saying an animal chewed a hole in the side of your soffit. That would be considered an exclusion. We do, there's so many different exclusions that we offer. Everything's closed with pretty much the same material, but used in 1,000 different ways. We close anything from your ridge vent system all the way to the top of your house to a burrow all the way down to your foundation. Crawl doors, animals love to burrow around AC units. Ground vents, those are very, very prominent to get knocked out. So there's a ton of different things. It's hard to explain in a simple term, though.
Okay. So basically, anything when the animal gets in, however they got in, you're fixing it so you are excluding them from coming in again.
Correct.
We'll just use that.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah.
Okay. What you mentioned some of it. What are some of the most common entry points that people should maybe go around their house and kind of check out today?
Yeah, so that's definitely something that I would recommend. Is we might get into it a little bit later as far as what to do, to try and avoid having to give me a call. But it's common to see roofline animals that like to get in the attic space. They love to get into what's called roof returns, and that's anywhere you have a soffit to shingle transition. So if you have any dormers on your house, chances are you probably have what's called a roof return. And those are vulnerable points. They're not a true transition, so there's always going to be a seam or a gap right there. And that's what animals exploit, is they exploit those already pre-vulnerable areas. So a lot of times your squirrels, they'll just go up and chew a little notch out of that. And once they're in the soffit, they're in the attic space. And so those are very common for, attics. Gable vents are another one. All gable vents, a lot of times they have a pre-installed bug screen, and they do exactly that. They keep the bugs out. But your squirrels, your raccoons, things like that, they can chew straight through that bug screen to gain access to the attic. So attic-wise, I'd say those are the two most common. Crawl space, ground vents, and AC units. Those are the two main culprits typically. Your plastic ground vents, those kind of self-loosen over time, and the animals just kind of happen to find an easy entry. They can kind of walk straight in. AC units, animals like to dig around the shroud where you have that AC unit where it connects to the house.
Oh, wow.
And that's a penetration for the duck lines to run into the crawl space. So if an animal digs under that shroud, they have direct access to that penetration for the duck lines. And that's a very, very common entry point.
I think most people, when they're doing their home building, home repairs, buying a home, they I want to say, how do I say this? I don't want to say misunderstand. Maybe I'll use that. Misunderstand how flexible some of these animals are. Like, I've seen cat videos where it's a small little space and the cat squeezes under a door because of the way their spine is set up and their vertebrae and their anatomy. So a lot of people just think, oh, it's a big raccoon. It's not going to fit this tiny. It's going to fit because it's going to find a way in. It's going to squeeze into a little ball. It's going to squeeze its way through. So just because you think something like, oh, it's nothing. This is too small for anything to get in. Something's going to get in.
Yeah. All it takes is really the tip of your pinky for a mouse. A lot of times, same thing for bats and flying squirrels as well. They will squeeze through some really small areas, but probably the most surprising that a lot of our customers always find to be the most remarkable is skunks. Once you start talking about skunk entry points, if they're not digging around the shroud to get to that penetration area, if you've ever looked at an AC unit, they'll have these forklift holes on either the front or on the sides of the unit. And that's so whenever it's sitting at the yard getting built before it's delivered to the customer's house, they can move it around. After it's installed at the customer's house, a lot of times those are left open. and they're only big enough for a forklift, the little forks on the forklift.
Yeah.
And skunks will actually flatten themselves out so much that they can fit through those forklift holes to travel the underside of your AC unit to get inside the crawl space.
Oh, boy.
So they're very, very nimble animals, that they're very flexible.
And a lot of times they do that, and then they don't know how to get out.
That does happen sometimes as well.
Man, I don't know. These animals are amazing. I think about it. Getting back to one of the questions, back to our animal removal stuff earlier. Somebody had a question. I want to make sure I get to it. Any bears?
That's another, one of the few animals we don't service. So all of your private wildlife companies, we have to follow the laws that the TWRA sets forth for us, whether that's, the relocation of an animal or, disposal of an animal, things like that. And the state of Tennessee doesn't permit your private wildlife companies from being able to handle bears. So we usually recommend, if you do have a bear issue, to call your local TWRA office, let them know what's going on. They'll direct you as far as best course of action from there. But other than TWRA and Appalachian Bear Rescue, that's the only two organizations I know of that are able to handle bears.
Now, I know we're on home repairs, and I should have asked this earlier. We're talking about the humane removal and the dead removal. You said there's laws in place to relocate probably live animals, and then there's a humane way to dispose of dead animals. Can you maybe walk us through the process for both of those?
Yeah, so with your live animals, a lot of times what we use is what's called one-way valves. And, whenever we bring somebody in and we hire them, they think they're going to get to, cuddle cute animals all day and things like that. But truly, we don't interact with a lot of the animals because we use what's called one-way valve devices. And they are much more effective than just your cage trap that you can go sit along the side of the house and just hope you catch an animal. The one-way valve, once you've located the entry point, you're able to install that device, and it actually extracts the animal from whatever space it's living in, and they push up a mechanically spring-loaded door to exit out of the attic space or the crawl space. Mm-hmm. It closes in behind them, and that animal's free to go. Oh, wow. And that's extremely beneficial. One, it makes the removal process much faster. But two, and a lot of people don't know this, is once you've captured an animal, and if you are legally allowed to relocate it, that some of those animals unfortunately don't survive. You're basically transplanting them in a new area where they have to now find a water source, a food source, shelter that's already being taken up by all of your other local animals living in that area. Yeah. So to keep the animal alive, keep the customer happy, one-way valves are hands down the way to go because the animal is out of the attic space, so the customer's happy. And the animal's happy because it's now getting to still live in the area where it knows where its food is. It knows where its water is. It knows where it has, it's got to find new shelter now. Sure. But it's a win-win. The one-way valves are a game changer, and you can use those primarily for any animal we deal with.
So gone are the days of trapping the animal, driving out to the woods, and you're free.
Primarily, we still do. Yeah.
Crying when the animal goes away.
Okay. We still do trapping sessions. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes people call us and the animal's not in the attic or the crawl space. Yeah, it's just digging up the grass in the yard, and customer don't want that to happen anymore. We'll do trapping sessions for stuff like that. It's totally different type of call where we still want to help you, but a one-way valve just wouldn't be effective.
And for dead animal removal, obviously there's probably a humane way of disposal. You guys have to take it to a certain spot. You guys have to take it to a central location. Is there a place around our area here in Knox County that does that? You take it to and go, here you go?
Yeah, so a lot of your dead animals, those end up going to the landfill is a lot of times, unless the animal's visibly sick or there's something going on with it at that point. We'd contact the state to see what they wanted us to do with it. Sometimes that involves incineration and things like that. We actually had, shout out to the Chattanooga crew, but they actually caught a squirrel that had squirrel pox. And we had never seen that before. It was covered in scabs, and it's basically chicken pox for a squirrel.
Okay. But chicken pox aren't for chickens, though. They're for us.
Right, so exactly. What's going on here? So we had to call the TWRA office and see what it was that they wanted us to do, and they deemed that the animal should be humanely put down. There was no cure. And at that point, to prevent the spread of the squirrel pox, that squirrel had to be incinerated. It's highly transmittable.
So that's why it's important. Let's see, I love the transition. That's why it's important to make sure the exclusions are taken care of and the home repairs are taken care of, because you don't want a squirrel poxed squirrel to get into your house and spread it or die in there, and then potentially you're picking something up.
Right.
For sure.
Getting back to the snow and ice here, and shout out to Gray Wolf 99 who says my boys are famous. Here, so there you go.
Thanks, Tony.
Somebody was asking, are you their mom or dad? But I don't know if Gray Wolf's your mom or dad.
We worked with him out in Nashville.
Okay.
He works for the Kentucky office now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat asked. He hasn't answered, so I just figured it out. Thanks, Tony. Snow and ice again are coming this weekend. Whatever time of year it is, but snow and ice is here. It's going to expose probably some weak spots in homes. What are some spots that you think people should be checking out now and checking out in a couple of days when the ice is starting to sit there and then start to slowly melt?
Yeah, a lot of your wooden homes, your fascia boards, those rot over time. Your gutters, they get filled with ice. That ice melts. It's sitting there on that wood over time. Your roof return areas, like we were talking about earlier, a lot of times that's where the gutters actually drain. So that water is running down right the side of that fascia board. Pretty much any of your gutter line area stuff. That's what I would keep an eye on over the next couple of days.
And that's really just something that a homeowner should get in the habit of anyway. That's one of the reasons a lot of times we get the call is because there's something going on and the customer doesn't know until they hear it. But a lot of times that stuff starts to develop before the actual animal moved in. So, if you own a home, I highly recommend that, once a week or once a month, just take a lap around the house. Take a look at your soffit areas. Those are super, super prone to dilapidation if they're wooden. If they're vinyl, even just the slightest wind can sometimes adjust those plastic soffits, and it can create a separation for your animals to get inside. So doing a lap around the house, looking high, looking low, just takes you a couple minutes, but it can save you, substantial money in the long run if you, maintain, things that you notice.
So the animals are they're creatures of opportunity. They're finding an opportunity. If you don't give them the opportunity, they're not going to come in.
They're just like humans. They'll take the road with the least resistance. So if you have vulnerable areas, that will absolutely be the first place they exploit. They're much less likely to work hard if they have an easy access.
Okay. So again, everybody who's listening, we're talking about prosperity here on the show. We talk about investments, and your home is your biggest investment. So get out there and walk your property. Get out there and, check it out. Give these guys a call to come around and do an inspection.
Yeah.
Make sure, cut it off. Be proactive rather than reactive. We talk about that almost every episode. So get out there and be proactive. Give them a call. Make sure you get your place inspected. Check all the little spots, little hidey holes, things that you look at and go, it's nothing. You probably don't even see it. These guys will see it. Also, Gray Wolf said to tell Justin to stop dominating the conversation. So, gonna give him something to talk about soon. Attic restoration and treatment. Animal gets in, damage is done. It's done a lot. We talked a little bit about what animals leave behind in the attics and the air quality. But damaged insulation raises energy bills. People need to know that. It impacts resale value. So restoration becomes necessary. What are some things that you guys do from a restoration standpoint? Is it just restoration from animal damage? Or is it just, hey, I need you to fix my attic?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We absolutely repair the insulation because of animal damage. And basically the process of that is you go in first and you do your pheromone treatment. You're killing all of your surface level pheromones. And at that point, you start on the removal of the insulation. If that's the attic space, you're going to suck all that out into bags and dispose of that offsite. Once all the insulation's been removed, you'll come in, you'll do another pheromone treatment. because you've stirred everything up now, and so you want to make sure you get that treated again. And then we'll blow the insulation back in, and we do R38 and R49. Your R38 is going to be up to 13 inches of insulation, and your R49 is going to be up to 16 inches of insulation. And that kind of goes into, maybe you don't have animal damage, but we're there. You have a squirrel problem. It's relatively new. There's not a lot of feces, but your insulation is it's been there since 1990, and it's compacted over time. Gravity takes effect, and what used to be 13 inches is now 3 inches. So that does go into an energy savings aspect whenever you start looking at what you're currently paying versus 3 inches of insulation versus what you could be paying if you had 13 or 16 inches of insulation. So we will do just insulation projects, whether that's due to animal damage or not.
Yeah, and I would say energy is a big thing, but health is probably the biggest reason that we do attic restorations. Because all of your mice feces, you might go up there and be like, I have tunnels, but I don't see any feces. There's no reason to do an attic project. All that feces is under those tunnels, sitting on the drywall, right above where these people are sleeping, using the bathroom. So health risk is really more beneficial than the energy savings.
Interesting. Now, in insulation, some of the older homes, you guys ever run into an asbestos issue?
We have not seen asbestos, to the best of our knowledge anyway. And all the attic spaces that we've gone into here in Knoxville, we have not.
Okay, good. It's the only thing I know about insulation.
Yep.
Okay. Man, we got some questions that came in from our listeners when I said you guys were coming on. And I got another question from the chat. Which one do you want first?
Let's do the chat.
Okay. Strangest animal removal you've ever done?
I'll let you take that one.
I don't know that I have, because everybody, that's probably the most common asked question that we get.
Yeah. They want all the good details.
Right. But, we're licensed to do your standard wildlife, to be honest. Your squirrels, your possums, your raccoons, your skunks. The state of Tennessee, there's not a ton of unique wildlife in Tennessee, other than, your snakes and stuff like that, and your bears in the East Tennessee region. But, we just don't see a ton of crazy stuff, to be honest with you. A lot of times it's just your squirrels in your attic, your groundhogs burrowing under a deck. I'm not sure if you have any crazy stories, but I don't really have anything.
No, the animals stay the same. Unless it's a outside animal that somebody transported across state lines or released without permission. We can get some kind of crazy phone calls for things that may or may not be seen, but the animals that we actually encounter and work with, they are pretty routine. So, your raccoons, possums, skunks, bats, stuff like that.
So no gators, no
tigers. Not yet. No.
No, what was that guy? Zebras when Ed was rolling around in
Nashville.
None of that? Okay. Somebody asked, no giraffes either, huh?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Yeah, it was a runaway donkey, not a giraffe chat. That's what that was. Okay. Sarah from Farragut wants to know, we hear noises mostly at night. Does that narrow down what it could be?
It does. Your more nocturnal animals, depending on, when she's hearing it exactly and exactly what that sound kind of sounds like. It does, decrease the likelihood that it would be gray squirrels. It increases the likelihood that it could be flying squirrels. We're getting a lot of calls for those right now, as well as your raccoons. Raccoons are looking for warm places now that the temperatures are starting to drop. So, it does kind of dwindle some of the animals down, but without actually identifying the feces, even, just going off of time, I won't quite tell the story.
Tony in the chat. Chattanooga did a large invasive lizard they removed from a garage last year.
Nice.
So you guys are behind.
Yeah, we're slacking.
Slacking a little bit. Mike in Maryville want to know, can animals get in through the roof even if I don't see damage?
Absolutely.
Yes,
one of the
Mike.
Most common
pinky
things that goes just completely unnoticed, and you would never notice it from the ground. You would only notice if you set a ladder up, put it up on your gutter line, and you lift it up as your shingles come down and kind of meet that gutter line area, you would never know, but if you lift up that first layer of shingles, as those deck boards that the shingles are attached to, they come down and they meet that gutter line, there's a natural separation that occurs as the house ages. Sometimes it's just poorly installed to begin with, but we call it construction gap. And a lot of times your drip edge, you'll hear people, roofers mostly talk about drip edge and drip edge metal. And that's what they're doing is, they're closing that area. But even over time, it'll continue to kind of separate as the seasons change, the wood expands and contracts. And it's a very hidden entry point that your squirrels like to gnaw on. Your bats and your flying squirrels, they can just simply slide in. Your mice love it, your rats, things like that. So that's probably one of your most common areas that you don't think of and you would never see from the ground.
Tom from Sevierville wants to know, how fast should someone call once they suspect something?
Immediately.
It's like suspect, call. Yeah. Like you're suspecting it as you're picking the phone up.
Yeah. Even if you're not sure, give us a call. It could not be an animal problem, but if it is, you definitely want to know.
Right.
Okay. And then Rachel in Knoxville want to know, does homeowners insurance cover this kind of damage?
That's a good question too. If you would have asked 6 years ago, absolutely. That was a lot of the business that we got out in Nashville. We worked with insurance companies and negotiated on the homeowner's behalf. We would meet them out there and show them, hey, this is what this customer's dealing with, and help them get the project paid for, things like that. And it was really for most animals, but insurance companies realized that they were paying out a lot of money in animal work. So about 6 years ago, they changed their policies across the board. Unless you have a deer or a bear get inside your house and cause some damage, that's going to be about the only thing they'll cover.
Wow. Okay. Amber in the chat said they have found albino raccoons before.
We have.
Yeah, I talked to a woman not too long ago who has a family of them living in the trees in Farragut.
Yeah. We actually removed an albino raccoon last year as well.
Oh, yeah. Oof. All right. Well, moving into we're wrapping up pretty fast, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
This is fantastic. We have our rapid fire round questions. 10 questions. You guys get to both answer.
Cool.
So Justin can not dominate the mic anymore.
For sure.
All right. Most surprising thing you found in an attic?
It's
PG show, guys.
Animal wise or anything wise?
A human pee bottle.
I wasn't on site. Didn't you guys see human defecation?
We did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Loudest animal people mistake for quote unquote house noises?
Loudest?
Yeah.
Raccoon.
Okay.
I would have to agree.
Okay, raccoon. One sound homeowners should never ignore.
Scratching and knocking.
Squeaking.
Ooh, okay. Biggest DIY mistake?
Trapping animals inside.
I think I would have to agree with that as well.
Okay. An animal that causes the most damage?
Raccoon.
Price wise, bats, mice, rats, flying squirrels. Actual damage wise, definitely raccoons.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
The bats can do some damage to your wallet.
Yeah, and if you're not a billionaire like Bruce Wayne, you can't afford it. I worked it in. There we go. Thanks, guys, for the setup. One place homeowners never check.
Your gutter line.
Yep. Gutter lines and gable vents a lot of times.
It's the fastest escalation you've seen from maybe an inspection or got called out and you came back and it just blew up on you.
Yeah, that's probably, so a lot of times your projects aren't going to change too much from the time you go out and you do your inspection to actually getting started on the project. We try and start all our projects within 24 to 48 hours. So not a whole lot of time for things to change, but with bats, to kind of go back to them for a second, your bats, they will, those numbers really fluctuate. So, one day you may have 2 bats, the next day you may have 30 bats. As day by day that can change.
Okay. Best preventative step anyone can take right now?
Doing a walk around your house.
Yep.
And then making a phone call.
Yep.
What's the biggest lesson you guys have learned since May of 2024?
It's hard to hire people.
Oh, God, we can have a whole show on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to find good people.
Yeah, we're blessed with an awesome team, but it took a long time to find them. So,
And finally, what does prosperity mean to you as brothers and business owners?
you go first.
It means everything. I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else. Blessed to have somebody that has the same passion as me.
I love that.
Yeah. I just kind of I'll go off what he said. He puts in as much effort as I do, and vice versa. And it's not something that I would have wanted to do with anybody else. And we obviously we're still learning and growing, and as owners, but also in the wildlife world too. Things are changing, new things are coming out, just very, very blessed to be working in the East Tennessee area and helping the people out of East Tennessee. So.
Jonathan, Justin, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Complete Animal Removal East. Where can people find you? How can they get a hold of you? And what do you guys up to?
Yeah, so you can find us at www.animalsremoved.com. If you want to check out our website, there's a lot of cool information on there. You can also find us on Facebook at Complete Animal Removal East. But if you have an animal in your attic or an animal in your crawl space, or you're hearing something, or think maybe you even heard something, you can give us a call at 865-888-9453. And you actually either get myself or Justin on the phone. You'll talk to us personally, and we'll gather a little bit of information, listen, and see what you have going on. And we would book an inspection to have Nate come out, our inspector, and he would do a good inspection, figure out what kind of animal it is you have, put a good game plan together. And we're never there to sell anything. We're going to educate you on what we found and what our capabilities are. And your home's your most precious asset, and your most expensive asset. So we're here to help you protect that and keep it protected. And we'll walk you through all the process.
Give us that number one more time.
Yeah, 865-888-9453.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. So again, digging in with that snow and ice thing, because it's just timely right here. But snow and ice, bad weather, rainy weather, snowy weather, hot weather, cool weather, nice weather. Weather passes. Damage doesn't. Make sure you give these guys a call and protect your home, protect your assets. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in again tonight. Just a reminder, you can watch this episode on YouTube. Listen. Let me start again. It's live. I can't start again. Listen to it on your favorite podcast platform. Say that 7 times fast. And join our free Prosperity Lounge community at theprosperitylounge.com. Again, guys, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Until next time, everybody, stay faithful, stay fearless, and remember, freedom lives where faith and action meet. The lounge is always open, and so is your next breakthrough. This is the Prosperity Lounge. So we are off the radio, but still live on YouTube because people are still chatting here. Amber's in the chat here, mentioning that your inspections are free.
They are. Yes.
Yeah.
All of our is this the one for the
That's the radio. That's the YouTube one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all of our inspections are free. We don't charge anything for our inspections. We'll come out and assess the situation, and if there's no animal issue up there, we'll it was very nice to meet you and appreciate you letting us look in your attic space. Here's some pictures we took, and you don't have an issue. But if you do, we'll obviously put a game plan together as far as getting that resolved and getting your home back to the way it was before the animals moved in.
Worst thing I think we ever had to deal with was mice, and you hear them scratching the wall,
Yeah.
and then they poke a little bit out of the drywall, and they kind of leave their you see the little finger. And
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh,
Yep.
No.
Yep.
You do not want to deal with that.
Yeah.
There's so many little areas that they can get in there that are just the hardest to deal with.
Yeah, and then people just they go buy traps at the Home Depot or something, and then the humane ones or the inhumane ones or whatever, and just try to deal with it. But you find out that you catch one. There's more than just
your
one
mice repopulate at such an astronomical rate. That's one reason that it's, once they move in, they're hard to get rid of because they're repopulating as fast as you can catch them, and so.
Man, okay. You guys got anything big coming up? Any kind of stuff you guys got out there for the company? Any big plans?
No, we're just looking for, excited for another year to, grow and continue to serve the people of East Tennessee. And, we hope to get a few more people on board. That's one of the hardest things to do is to find the guys that we want to bring on board. Just to find the people we have. We've probably did 150 interviews, but that just, we have such an awesome team that it just goes to show that the patience we had to find those people paid off in the long run, even though we wasted a lot of time going through resumes, going through interviews and things like that. But we do have a lot of like-minded individuals that are they're an awesome part of the team. So.
And one thing I was going to ask, and I didn't know how to weave it in because I didn't bring it up during our pre-show. I know the company is like a faith-based company, Christian-based company. I didn't know if that factored in your decision to work for them or to stay on and start a franchise with them. And I was going to ask how that kind of played into your roles of hiring and how you lead as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't, like a make or break, but it was certainly a pro. And Brian out in Nashville, he absolutely walks by that, and he's really the one that showed us, hey, this is how business ownership is done. You care about the people who are working here, and you care about their families, and we care a ton about the people who are here, and we've tried to bring that to the best of our ability out to Knoxville, to where our customers are everything, but so are our employees. We couldn't continue to service the amount of customers we have without the people we have on board, and we hope that they enjoy their time working here. So,
and Gavin, our first hire out here, he's one of our wildlife technicians. He whenever I got him in the truck after he got hired, he was telling me one of the things that really drew him to this job is that we were a Christian-based company. And we meet all kind of customers. We have a pink fish on our truck wraps, and customers all the time, just, appreciate that we're a Christian-based company.
Well, that, yeah, I talked to a gentleman a few weeks ago. He's the CEO of the company Lagos, which is like a Bible company, Bible app for the phone. And he was talking about his journey of getting started when he went for interviewing, and the previous board director is telling him about mission over profit. And if you fulfill the mission, profit will follow. And it's not a lot of things we see nowadays in business, but we see it with a lot more with faith-based companies who are trying to succeed. So that's why I was kind of curious about bringing that up with you guys, because you guys are talking about your mission, talking about serving the people. And by serving the people, you'll be rewarded. In the end, and you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Yeah. It's never about the money. It's about the our families and our employees' families, and making sure that we're all taken care of, and our customers. So yeah.
Now I went on the website and I noticed that there's. At first, I didn't realize that it was like a franchise or right. And then I saw other locations. There's like a location in Oregon. There's locations at like a lot of different places. What is your service area? What's your complete territory?
Yeah. So out of our Knoxville office, we go out to Harriman and Kingston. That's kind of our cutoff out there, Rockwood area. Going down south, we'll go down to Sweetwater and Tellico Plains. Anything after that, we can still service you, but it'd just be out of our Chattanooga office. Going east, we go all the way out to the Tri-Cities. So we'll service all the way out to, Bristol, Johnson City, Kingsport, and everything in between. So all the way back to Morristown, Bean Station, Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, Seymour. So,
and there are several locations now, but we're still a small company. Everybody that owns a location or is running a location was brought up in the farm system. They've worked for the company. Most of them started at the ground level and worked their way up. So every location knows, they came from Nashville or Chattanooga. and they were brought up in the farm system.
I like how you said that, the farm system, like it's big leagues.
Yeah, for sure.
But I like that aspect of you've worked every part of the job.
Right.
So then as the owner, when you hire somebody and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do, or you can walk with them through that process of, if it's a tough day, you've been through it yourself.
Yeah,
rather
absolutely.
than just like, I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. Every owner within Complete Animal Removal has started from the ground and worked their way up to where we are today. So that is extremely beneficial too.
Yeah.
We're still learning. 11 years combined experience in, and we're still learning. So it's one of those things where we obviously, if we need any help whatsoever, have any sort of questions, chances are somebody within our team, whether it be one of the other owners or somebody from one of the leadership teams in Chattanooga or Nashville, chances are somebody has the answer. So
I heard somebody tell me one time when I asked them how they were successful. They were an older gentleman, and he said, "I have a 40-year overnight success."
Yeah.
So, you guys are only 11. You're working.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
we're blessed to be able to have a company to be able to service the East Tennessee area. I never really saw myself as a business owner and didn't really know what that looked like. It always seemed like a cool idea, but never knew what industry or what it was that I truly wanted to do. And then I found this, and it explained everything to me. So. It's all about the people.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so exciting to do this job every day.
I think I might have asked during the live show, but if I did, I apologize. You mentioned your area being Sweetwater out to Harriman and up to Tri-Cities and stuff. Are there critters that are more prevalent in certain spots? Like there's more mice here than there are squirrels here, kind of thing?
Most of your squirrels, your raccoons, and possums, they all stay the same everywhere. But your bats, anywhere there's water, more likely there's a higher population of bats.
That's crazy.
They all belong to a main colony. And then this time of year, most of them have flown back to their caves.
Mm-hmm.
And then as it gets warmer in the summer, that's when they find your attic spaces, so they can mate, reproduce, and then they go back to the caves.
Now, do you guys deal with cicadas at all?
No cicadas, no.
Okay.
No.
I know we get those swarms every so often.
Yeah,
they're crazy.
People call you for that stuff.
Yeah. No cicadas for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
That goes into that flying.
Yeah, the flyers and the creepy crawlers.
Yeah.
We're hands off on those.
Okay. And do you guys have good like referral partners for those things as well?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
So if you do have a problem, with a hornet's nest or honeybees or something like that, you can still give us a call. We can get you in touch with the right people who can come out there and help you out. We have relationships with other people in the pest control industry and things like that, and there are some good ones within the Knoxville area. So.
Good. So really are your other one-stop shop.
We are.
Give you guys a call. If they can't help you, they'll get you somebody who can.
Absolutely, for sure.
The last question before I let you guys go. Question in the chat. Worst season for critters getting into home?
The wintertime.
Yeah.
It's hard on us, and we get to soak up the heat. Hands down the wintertime. Anytime you have those cold snaps, it always results in an uptick in phone calls. And as cold as we're going to be right now, there will be animals looking for attic spaces and crawl spaces. Houses that didn't have an animal issue yesterday, by the time the weekend's over, you may have an animal issue, and it can happen that fast.
Do they call while it's cold, or when it starts to warm up, and then they see the remnants of what was going on?
No, they'll usually call pretty quick. During your cold snaps, it usually results in kind of immediate phone calls. You hear something for 2 or 3 straight days, and you're like, okay, that's not a tree limb. That's something else going on. Let me make a phone call.
Yeah. Somebody asked about Asian lady beetles. Those are going to be the pest control people.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Those things are a pain. But it's just nature of the beast where we're at.
Oh, for sure.
Gosh. Okay. Jonathan, Justin, thank you guys so much.
For sure.
Appreciate you being here.
Yep.
We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your night. For those that are still here in the chat, hopefully the sound quality was really good tonight. We're working on a few things here in the studio, but as always, a clean, fresh copy of our interview will be up tomorrow on our channel and spread out everywhere for you guys to share and have fun with. So thanks again. Have a great night. We'll see you Monday. We'll have our live premiere Monday night at 6:00. with our guest, Dr. Lonnie Jones. We have a 6 o'clock on Wednesday, and of course, live next week on Friday with a special guest. Not going to ruin it yet. Stay tuned. Follow along on social, and you'll get the first scoop there. All right. Everybody have a great evening. Stay warm and stay dry wherever you're at. Apparently the whole country. So I'm just going to say stay warm and stay dry to everybody out there. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
This is where momentum meets